Tuesday Night Live with Riz and the Dog, watching the Yankees and the Mets. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. We're doing a little Tuesday Night Live, back in our groove, the way we've done it so many different times. We've brought you a lot of guests lately, and now we're getting back into our little live streaming during baseball games, and the Yankees and the Mets are playing as we speak. So if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, we thank you. And if you're catching it at a different time, well, you get to feel like what the action was like on Tuesday night when the Yankees were in Baltimore and the Mets were home against the Red Sox. We'll get to that in a little bit. In the meantime, follow at Diamond Diehards everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere, and diamonddiehards.com. Don't forget about that. We want you to subscribe and follow, or whatever it is on whatever app you're on. Sometimes it's called a follow, sometimes it's called a subscribe. Anyway, we want you to be there. Give us a rating if you can. Write something nice. We're all about niceness here at Diamond Diehards. And I'll tell you what's nice. FMSgraphics.com is nice. A family-owned, family-run business for 50 years, dog. They've evolved to cover all of your print and promotional needs. That's FMSgraphics.com. FMSgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. And now, because it's a regular episode of Diamond Diehards, of course, we bring in the dog to do Veteran of the Day. Dog, take it away.
All right, Riz. Let's paint the word picture, as our good friend Marty would say. Cubbies are playing in Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers, April 25th, 1976. Rick Monday was in his fifth season with the Cubs and playing center field when all of a sudden he saw two fans run on the field and run past Cubs left fielder Jose Cardenal. Turns out those two guys were protesters, and one of them was carrying an American flag under his arm. They went, laid down the American flag and soaked it with a can of lighter fluid, just like it's pretty dangerous. Rick Monday saw that and ran like heck in from center field to him. As Monday puts it, it angered him for a lot of reasons. First of all, you're interrupting the game. Second, you're bringing out a flag, and that was only 3 or 4 years removed from being in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves. So these guys basically picked the wrong guy to go and light the American flag on fire in front of. So Rick Monday considered knocking him over, which would have been fantastic if he got there in time. He didn't. They were actually going to light it, but the first match blew out, thank God, as the flag was sitting there soaked with lighter fluid. So Rick Monday improvised. So he picked up a flag that got soaked with lighter fluid, which I had never known until I read the story just now, scooped it up on dead run, and just kept running with it, and took it off and took it in, handed it to a teammate near the dugout. And then Tommy Lasorda, who was a pretty staunch American in his own right, gave the protesters a few choice words, as Tommy at the time was still a third baseman for the Dodgers. Fans got arrested, and then Rick Monday came up and got a "Rick Monday, you made a great play" put on the scoreboard on Dodger Stadium as the visiting Cub player. So really a really nice sort of touch in there. So and the best part of the story is Rick Monday still has that flag, which we've all kind of seen in the videos and stuff. I had no clue he actually still had the flag, and him and his wife take the flag around the country when raising money for various different military charities. So Rick Monday, 6 years in the United States Marine Corps Reserves. Rick Monday, our Veteran of the Day. Good job there, Rick.
Good job there, dog. That was a poignant one because of the timing, right, and the anniversary of the whole thing. Good job on that, my dog. Good job on that.
We can't do play-by-play on the flag.
It's Tuesday Night Live, and
red and white stripes.
It's
blue field.
Is that dog? Is that lighter fluid?
I did,
Is that water? Is that water?
the water? Why
Is
they
that
putting water on the flag?
why
Why
they
they putting
putting
water
water
on
on
the
the
flag?
flag?
They're trying to light the
Put,
flag. They're
they're
putting water on
putting
it.
water on the flag and they're trying to light it.
They did not leave the field.
You retreated the field. Listen, it's Tuesday, so we're not talking about Rick Monday right now. Call back in 6 days, okay? Please. We can't do play by play. All right. So, Doug,
So
we're
I
sitting here.
feel like I've done my job. I've completely taken the show off the rails in the first 3 minutes.
So, okay, let's get the live streamers are joining us here. It's 5-1 Yankees in. Oh man, is that the ninth? They just took the graphic away. I get so I have the Met game streaming on like right next to where my camera is, and I have the Yankee game on my phone over here, and they took the graphic away on the
Looks like
Amazon.
bottom 8.
Yeah, it looks like the
Bottom
bottom of the
8.
eighth.
Orioles batting. Guy in first, one out.
First and second now
Two.
as one gets through. So
Oh,
Loizaga
nice
is trying to get the Yankees through the middle inning here. Castro is in for the Mets with a 2-1 deficit to the Red Sox. So this could go a lot of ways for us, Doc. Obviously, I'm rooting for a Met win, as I often do anyway. But because they're facing the Red Sox, this could be mutually beneficial tonight. And what I want to know is why isn't Castro wearing the orange cleats? What happened to those?
That's true. He was rocking those for a while. I'm not sure what the dealio is on that one. I tell you what though, he has been rock solid for the Metsies. Building off of last year, he was sort of a bit unsung in the bullpen, kind of coming along and stuff. We weren't really counting him for too big a role for the bullpen this year, but he's really stepped in there nice and solid. So with Familia and Betances gone at this point, Castro, really looking like a solid option in that 7th and 8th inning typically.
I know, but
I don't know.
when you're trailing in a 2-1 game, and you get these.
Hold them there.
You get this. Especially like this day and age, like you don't know what you're gonna get the next day, and guys have to pitch like how many games? How many batters rather? So it like the strategy of these things. It's just not as straightforward as it was even like in the last full season that we played baseball, right? Like it's kind of like a different animal. Like you got to wonder if you use your best guy in that kind of situation, and like in 2019 when you didn't have the 3 batter rule, like it wasn't even a decision, you just did it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
but it's interesting too, like when you hit, if you're down a run or something like that, like you bring a Familia in, like you're committed to that guy for 3 batters. If he goes out and goes like 4 balls, this might not turn out well. And you're stuck on them for two more batters, right? So it is interesting. You can't have that quick hook that you normally could use. So it has to be kind of more pre-planned out.
Yeah, there's more strategery that goes into it. Or at what point, like, Dog, does it become actually less strategy because you kind of like now you're not thinking batter to batter, right? Like you're thinking in 3 chunk batters, and I guess you gotta account for worst and best case scenarios kind of at the same time, right?
A little bit more strategy and a little bit less tactics, as we would say in the biz. Got to think a little further out there. You're maneuvering companies, not just squads.
So now they cut to the boot. So we have the mute on, but right earlier I was like flipping through games, and I was even flipping through like the Devil game because I just can't punish myself nearly enough. I'm on that arc with my Devils where I'm like, it's bad now, and I'm gonna suck in all the badness because it's gonna make the goodness even greater. But like I was flipping back and forth between that and then the Yankee game and the Mets game, and I guess Strawberry was on the Met broadcast before, and I heard right after he was on, I didn't even know that he was on until when we were texting pre-show, and you told me they were talking about Straw. But it sounded like Ron Darling was pretty emotional. He's like, it's really great to talk to old teammates, and we're not young anymore. And I was like, man, what the hell did Straw say? Like, God, like he's
Yeah, it was pretty touching. I mean, Straw's obviously had quite an arc, right? As everyone sort of said over time, and he's really, you got to give him credit. He's really stepped up to try and use his position and use his fame that he still has, and try and do good for people. And that's really he's been on that mission really for the last several years. Um, and it was on his, he just put out a new book talking about, and I wish I had the title on here. But basically talking about, like, making changes in your life and things like that. Recognizing the power of God and so forth within it. And it really was pretty touching. Like I said, and just kind of consider where he's been. He realizes the mistakes that he made, and the Hall of Fame player he probably should have been, but wasn't, because of stuff that he kind of did to himself and to his body. And looking back with the wisdom of a guy who's out there and made mistakes and learned from them. So it was, I got to admit, it was actually pretty touching. And watching, like one of my childhood heroes grow up and kind of talk about that, and talk with, like Ronnie, sort of his peer, Keith, kind of like a mentor on there, and kind of talking about it as well. And yeah, it was a little onion cutting on the Met broadcast. Plus, they weren't hitting too, which doesn't help either. But reminiscing about Straw's, beautiful, majestic home runs. That's the best term for it that Keith was using. Just the smooth, effortless swing. Um, Reminiscent of, like I point out, reminiscent of like Doc pitching around that time too. Just smooth and easy, yet incredibly powerful. And just what a special time it was to kind of be a Met fan.
yeah. I think Straw is a great Yankee.
Rap.
He was a good Yankee too,
He was.
and Doc was a good Yankee too.
He
I'll give
was.
him that, right? And so
He
was
was.
Coney.
Yeah.
What are you doing this to me?
Okay, so like Straw and Doc definitely are more thought of as Mets, right? As great Mets. But Coney, I feel like his association with the Yankees is stronger at this point. Like
Yeah, especially doing the broadcasting, right? Yeah, that's
it.
fair.
Yeah, that's a big difference, Like and then there's even like Al Leiter, like he had that like that Yankee thing going for a while. He came up as a Yankee, and he was a Yankee then, like at the end, and he did all those years broadcasting, but then he went like to MLB Network, and then he was doing the Met stuff, and now I feel Leiter's more like got the Met association again,
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
it is funny, like some of these guys that you do associated with both teams. And I guess based on like the fact that we're doing this live stream titled Riz Dawg watching Yankees and Mets, that's probably good for our audience, that they'd like to hear that stuff.
There you go.
Very interesting observation today by my niece Francesca. She was asking what the chalk line was that surrounds like the area behind the catcher and the umpire.
Mhm.
And it's a chalk line, and she was wondering like what the significance of that was. And I said, it's like for decoration, it's not really anything. If you turn on the Met game right now, you won't see one. So I was actually wondering, like I was wondering, like, is it just an aesthetic thing, or is it like an American League and National League thing? And I never really thought to look at it before, but now I might have to go on MLB TV and just watch like every game that's on and like see the field design. And so if you're on Twitter or whatever, tweet us at Diamond Diehards and tell us what you think of that line that's behind the home plate area in some cases, and in some cases not.
That's a great one. I do not know in that one. Yeah, you would think like way back when it was like, you couldn't, maybe you couldn't leave that area or something like that. It was sort of like, almost you call it like a batting circle or something like that. Or it seems like there probably should have been a reason for it at some point way back when. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of like the coaches' boxes, right? They're supposed to stay in there, and
Oh my God.
guys like go all over the place, right?
It's like the one area where the coaches don't go.
Exactly. Like, yeah, put this
Right?
little thing. Okay, yeah, exactly. The guy's like 20 feet from home plate.
Yeah, is that not even close? Yeah, it is interesting now that it's just one of those. I mean, to me, that's the beauty of baseball. That a question like that can even come up because it's an observational game. And this sort of gets to, and I'm going somewhere with this dog, and I think
Because the Mets aren't going anywhere right now.
I know, I know. I think so. What are they? They're down to
They're the
2
last
outs
out.
left. Oh, okay. So was that Conforto just struck out? Maybe. Let's see.
Someone just popped out. It must have been Conforto just popped out.
Oh,
They got
okay.
called out in strikes, which is
Yeah, you're okay. So you're a little bit ahead of me. Yanks are up 5-1 still. Mets are. Oh yeah, it's Conforto popping out. Rob Manfred, the now much maligned daily commissioner of Major League Baseball, was talking about how he spoke with Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, and Adam Silver was like, "Stop worrying about pace of game. Your pace of game is great because in this era of wagering, like wide wagering and especially the online wagering, your pace of game is perfect." Because it allows for a lot more like in-game wagering. People can wager between pitches. There's a lot more situations, whatever. So like from that standpoint, it
really.
kind of well, coming from I have a background in gaming, and there's a lot of places
That's fair.
that you could go with that, and from that standpoint, it sort of makes sense. But if you're not watching this and you're just listening to it, as soon as I said that, Dog took both of his hands and threw them over his face, and is like, could this even be true? And
Well,
let's see.
unfortunately, I know it's true.
No, I mean, like,
Yeah.
right, but like, could this be true? Like, really, dude? Like, that's what you're saying now? Like, you're coming
Yeah.
out public with this? And the idea is, yeah, like, but is it cutting off your nose to spite your face? Like, sure. I mean, are there positives to it? Yes, that's a positive, right? Like, you're in a gaming heavy society that's, a sport that is going to draw more interest if you have more people betting on it, right? I
Yep.
mean, that draws its
That's
own
fair.
set of interest. But how many people are going to alienate by not improving that to begin with, right? Like, you have so many issues with pace of game that have to do with the fact that like, all due respect to the Degroms of the world, it's never been easier for people to just completely dominate when you can miss bats that are on a sick launch angle, right? So there's an issue. Like, more balls are swung at and missed in baseball, and that in itself drives up the game times, right? It decreases the pace of the game, and it also adds less percentage of action that's actually happening on per pitch, right? So there's more
Interesting.
balls, there's more strikes, and less balls put into play than ever before.
Yeah. I'd actually have to sort of see that. The one thing I would say is with the crazy upswings and launch angle focus, guys making less contact, I'm gonna guess also leads to less foul balls. And that I'm sort of thinking like that versus like at bats historically, where guys would fight off, not trying not to get struck out. I'm actually not sure there's the number of pitches per at bat have actually increased the most. Like, to me, in terms of a pace of game, again, looking historically versus now, to me, by far, it's the time between the pitches and the guys stepping out of the box. I mean, that to me, I still don't get like why that's not just maintained at, hey, 1 foot in the box at all times and just lay down the lawn. That's the way it is. And you know what? I mean, that's what they did back in the day. That's why you had 2-hour games. They just grabbed the ball and threw it. I've been through it. Like watch old games from the 50s or 60s. It would be like 5 seconds, 10 seconds in between it. You very rarely will see a guy do that in the majors, and guys will step out all the time on it if they get that opportunity. So I think that's kind of a little bit more of it. In terms of pace of game and stuff that I would sort of see, and like at least then, like if something's happening, like even if a swing and a miss, like Degrom, watching that game, I mean, it was a swing and a miss. That was exciting. I was dialed in every pitch on that because it was going, and it was it was happening, boom, 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 boom. So even if the thing wasn't getting hit 500 feet, that was still an exciting play to me watching the game. It's when the guy's sitting there walking all over the place and you're sitting 30 seconds between pitches. That to me is what winds up destroying pace of the game. Going back to the gambling real quick, I find it funny, right? I mean, look at all the crap they had with Pete Rose and stuff, and now we're designing the game so we can bet on it easier. I mean, Jesus Christ, really? I mean, what are you, what are you guys thinking? I mean, and that's and that's fine if that's really what you want to do. But don't cloak yourself in the whole American pastime and all the other this and tradition and all the other crap. Then, right? Then just say, look, we're here to try and squeeze the last dollar out of whoever. And the problem is going to be is that what underlying you can be kind of a boring game, and you're hard enough to get young people to go and watch and get hooked in that game, right? So that's fine. You can sit there and make it all about gambling or whatever if you want to, but eventually you're going to run out of audience because the younger guys are watching something else. And if your only angle is to say, we can make it like MLB The Show and enough young guys will watch it, maybe, right? But MLB The Show is always going to be better, right? Like if you don't care about the player and you don't care about everything else, then watch it on the video game, which looks way cooler. And by the way, doesn't take 20 seconds in between the pitch. Right.
Yeah. And you can control it.
Well, you're going to compete exactly. Why are you going to compete against that when that's a better product already? Right. So it just
and
frustrating.
And you could just trade for.
Plus the Mets just lost again when they get one fucking run, 7 hits. Lindor's hitting 200.
Well, listen. Why don't we pick on the Yankees?
Okay.
So despite them winning, multiple hits by their 1, 2, and 3 hitters tonight for the first time all season, and Judge goes down swinging in the top of the 9th, so they'll go into the bottom of the 9th with a 4-run lead in Baltimore, trying to protect that. But look, when my friend Glenn texts me, I mean, I know it's pick on Gary Sanchez day. And you know what? You're not wrong if you're doing it because he's just not good. I mean, Higashioka plays tonight again. He hits another homer. I mean, he's a better defensive guy. And Sanchez is just, I don't even know. Like, can you say he's all fouled up at this point? He's just not that good. I mean, he's just not good. Like he's got a world of improvement to go before he's, like a serviceable guy that you could put back there because, if he's hitting a ton, then you could live with whatever he's giving you on defense. But when he's not, his defense has these shortcomings, but it's not even that, Dog. It's like, it just seems like this attitude that's pervasive amongst the Yankees that, like Gleyber Torres hitting the ball in front of the plate and just not running it out. And, everything is about his defense or lack of it. And I don't know, a lot of it has gotten masked over, Dog, because Sanchez has basically become the whipping boy for it. But let's face it, this whole thing goes back to the time they made the deal with the devil, aka, let's call him Derek Jeter in this case, right? Where they were handed Giancarlo Stanton on a platter. And it was a deal that was basically just too good to refuse. So they didn't refuse it. And it just, if he hits, which is, become an if, which is crazy because, that's all the guy did for years, right? Like now he's just an if he hits guy, if he hits, then, they can win. And if he doesn't, their lineup's just fouled up. Like they don't have enough ability and moxie right now to just build runs throughout the lineup. and they need to shake it up. They traded Mike Talkman today. Not that he was playing a lot, but he's another lefty bat that could play in the outfield. They're very, very, very right-handed. And with Stanton in there, it's just very difficult for them to change the makeup of the roster because first of all, he clogs the DH spot. Second of all, he's got a contract that's just it's essentially immovable unless you find some other American League team that has an open role at the DH and the ability to accept the payroll of a guy making like $30 million a year for the next however many 7 years. So that's that. I mean, it's an albatross at this point for them. It doesn't mean they can't win with him. It just means that no matter what you see, you could talk about Sanchez, you could talk about Torres, you could talk about LeMahieu, you could talk about Aaron Hicks. Dog, it's Stanton that's the key to the whole thing. If he hits like the Stanton that hit 59 home runs and was destroying every ball that was in the radius of the plate in what was it, 2017 for Miami in the second half of the year when he was on one of the sickest rolls like I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, then they're going to win. But if not, it becomes a big question whether they're going to win. I mean, forget about playoff games, like enough regular season games with the pitching that they're currently displaying. It's an issue, and it can't really be ignored at this point. And I think what you're starting to see is some movement on Cashman's end from the GM spot to try to change things up a little bit. I mean, DJ LeMahieu is a second baseman that they just signed for 6 years, and they just traded for a second baseman in Rougned Odor. Like, think about that, right? They just signed LeMahieu to a 6-year deal, and they just traded for a second baseman. Now, granted, there's not much risk in the Odor deal. Like, he was, Texas basically just seemed to give up on him. But he kind of gives the Yankees something that they haven't had. I mean, first of all, he gives them a left-handed bat. Second of all, he's got that moxie. He's kind of a tough guy, and he's kind of a fun guy too. And he's got a little fire, and maybe he's breathing a little bit of fire into them. But I proposed an interesting deal to my friend Glenn Santos, who, by the way, is not a big Michael K fan. I don't know. I didn't have the heart to tell him. I'm like, no, you can't mess with the Fordham guys. He's like, yeah, I like to put. I sometimes I just got to watch it on mute or put the Spanish button on.
I totally get that.
I'm like, dude, the Spanish announcers are really good though. Like, you don't even like.
The Met guys are actually really good too. I heard the Almoro catch was like sick on the Spanish radio.
The Met, the regular, SMY Met booth is the best. Like, league, even the Yankee fan readily admits that. That's not even a question. But so we were texting before the game, and the Yankees win. It's 5-1, the final. They win. They take care of it. Lucas Litke pitched the ninth, by the way. He got 1, 2, 3. The old lefty there. All right, so Mets don't help the Yankees out. Yankees help themselves a little bit. So I guess Aaron Boone lives to manage another day. But yeah, so we're talking, and I gave basically that was my rehearsal for this, about Stanton and everything. Talking to my friend Glenn, but I came up with a deal, dog. I got the guy for the Yankees.
Okay, let's hear it.
His name is Anthony Rizzo. But the thing is, so here you go, right? He's in the contract year. So if you're going to trade for him, you're trading for him with the idea of re-signing him, right? And hey, Gleyber Torres is one of the whipping boys to begin with, and he came from Chicago in the Aroldis Chapman deal. So you send him back there, and that probably would be enough. I mean, that gives him a little insurance against hobby bias.
Who is it for
Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres. Why would you not do that if you're the Cubs? You could play him. You either
his 222 average and shitty defense at shortstop might cause you a little bit of a pause.
Well, he's cheap, right?
Okay.
You might not re-sign Rizzo anyway. He might walk anyway, right? You have Javi
Can be traded to
Baez.
somebody else, but okay.
You have Javi Baez at short, who
Okay.
also is an impending free agent. So if you want to re-sign Javi Baez, then you could play Torres at second. And if you don't re-sign him, then you have a fallback position to say, well, we got Torres to play short or wherever, or play third if you don't re-sign Chris Bryant and you want to play him there. So it would make sense for the Cubs in that manner. But they basically would be committing to the fact that they know that Rizzo is either they're not going to re-sign him, or they think he's going to sign elsewhere. Now, what it does for the Yankees is then you move Urshela over from third and you let him play short, which he's already done. If everybody's complaining about the defense, he probably can't be much worse than Torres over there anyway. And or you can come up with a shortstop somewhere. You move LeMahieu to third, right?
Shortstop somewhere. That's always okay.
No, meaning minors are on the trade market, or Trevor Story.
I mean, off season certainly, right?
The Rockies are about to trade Trevor Story apparently with their new GM. Okay.
That's fair.
The Yankees make a really smart destination for him.
There are a lot of potentially high-priced shortstop upcoming free agents,
right?
That
so
you
you've
might be able to find A to B, maybe.
Right.
Okay.
So now you've flipped that, and you've added your left-handed bat at first, and you've given your team a captain type that they really need, which is Rizzo. I'm not just saying that because of the name. He's
so desperate to get the Rizzo number on for the Yankees here.
He can't. He can't.
Actually, it's true. Yeah, he can't win. Yeah, that's a bummer.
So.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, I
can
kind of see that. I mean, that's value for value.
He solves a lot of problems, and you open yourself up in that shortstop market in the off season. If the Dodgers, for some reason, decide Corey Seager is not for them and they want to go somewhere else, then Corey Seager ends up with the Yankees. I mean, geez, I wouldn't want his left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium. I mean, like, his left-handed bat crushes in Dodger Stadium. I mean, he'll probably stay there, but like, listen, that's a way. Now a Yankee infield of Luke Voigt at first and Gleyber Torres at short is pretty good, right? A Yankee infield of Trevor Story at short and Anthony Rizzo at first probably sounds a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe a lot better. Hello? If you're paying attention.
I am paying attention. Somewhat.
I know. I'm not talking to you. I know you are. All the people watching.
How about center field? You got Aaron Hicks out there that you keep. I mean, you guys just like skated right by.
So this is my other problem. So this leads to the next.
I think that's a bigger problem for you. To be honest. I think that's a bigger problem because I think that was a little harder to fix. And that's kind of what the Mets were walking into last season too, coming into off season, right? It's kind of like there's no great answer.
I normally would disagree, but like with the shortstop market the way it is,
yeah, I think you can fix that.
This year it's a little bit different. However, yeah. I have another. So there is a part two to this.
Okay.
There's a part two to this, and I'm glad you brought up the center field thing because it is an issue. First of all, Aaron Hicks is he has that 7-year, $70 million deal, which I think it's funny that people are like, that's a waste, blah, blah. I'm like, he's actually cheap. Like when you compare other guys that are of his ilk, they're usually getting like $15 million a year and not, performing much differently than he is. Now, the problem this year that's been a big deal has been that, his defense looks like it's taken a little bit of a hit here early on, but I'm not going to kill his career defense because he had a bad month and he misplayed a couple of balls that he usually gets in his sleep. That the jury's still going to be out. I mean, I got to see a half season of him being shitty in center field for me to think that he's going to be not serviceable there.
31.
I know.
We talked about the offseason, right? You were on that, like, why not Rice?
Yep, it is. That's the age for center fielders. That's
maybe a year, maybe another year, maybe two, maybe.
However, still serviceable enough in that lineup for the time being, in my opinion. he has to hit a little more. He's not hitting at all as a left-handed hitter. He's a switch hitter that hasn't been able to hit right-handed pitching at all. The problem is that they've been batting him like third. You got to bat him ninth.
I mean, his
You know?
career. Well, I mean, his career average is 233. His OPS is 729. He can't really hit, right? And he can't really field at this point. So I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Okay, but he's
I'm not sure what he's giving you. I
in
mean,
the-
other than like a
Well,
decent
he
guy,
gives you-
role player. I mean, I kind of get that, but I
he's a
don't.
good guy in the locker room. He doesn't
Yep.
cause any trouble,
Okay.
and he's liked by everybody. And he's still, he's got a good eye. So even if he's not hitting for a high average, usually his walk rate's pretty good, and he's got some power and he's got some speed.
Career on
I-
base
you
is
know-
330. That's not exactly
Okay, for a 233 average, that's
okay, but yeah, still.
That means
that's
he's-
not where you want to be, right?
his walk rate. No, it's but he's got a good walk rate. So he does a little something to offset his look. He's not.
He sucks. Just come out and say he sucks and we need better. It's a Yankee center field, for Christ's sakes.
I mean,
729 career OPS,
That's
and it's going down.
not the point. The point is that he's there, and you have to do something with him somehow. So I'm getting
Yeah.
to this. You got to let me get there. You got to let me get there.
I'm just,
He's
I'm
still
just calling BS to say he's fine. He's not fine. It's not fine.
You're stuck with him. Is the
Okay,
point?
that's fair. You're stuck.
Okay.
Okay.
So you got to figure out what to do with him. You're not
How are we
going to.
going to unstick it?
They're not going to release. Okay, so here's what you have to do, and this is unpopular. Okay, this is unpopular. This is not what the Yankee fan wants to hear.
Cut him.
But this is how you have. No, they're not going to cut him. But what they
kidding.
can do is this. What they can do is this. I'm sorry, Clint Frazier. Go play center field. Go play. We know you're not great. We know you're not going to be a Gold Glover.
My God, you're
Okay.
killing me for Nimmo? And you going to put Clint Frazier
I
out
don't
there?
kill you for Nimmo.
Oh, boy.
I don't kill you for Nimmo.
Mm,
I'm the one who told you to play Dominic Smith in left and keep Nimmo in center
That's fair.
and not sign George Springer. How am I killing Nimmo? I'll trade for
Well, that's because
Nimmo
you love
right
Dom.
now.
That's because you love Dom Smith. You just
And
find
I love
Dom
Nimmo.
Smith today.
And I love Nimmo.
Okay.
I've been willing to live with Nimmo's defense in center field to get his other stuff.
The,
and
the
then-
solution to Aaron Hicks in center is Clint Frazier in center?
well, hold on. Hicks is still going to play. You could still, as a right-handed hitter, when you want to get him in there, you could get him in there. Okay,
Where?
so that means against a lefty. Against a lefty, Hicks could still play center.
Okay. All right.
Frazier could still play left, and
Okay.
Stanton could DH. This is the unpopular part.
Okay.
I think Stanton is a better player when he actually goes and plays in the outfield. And you know what? If
Okay.
he gets hurt as much as a DH as he does playing in the outfield. The way that he gets hurt swinging. He gets hurt like sliding. He gets hurt that way. He doesn't really get hurt playing in the outfield. And if he's playing left field against, righties half the time, right? That's probably 80 games in the field. And then against lefties, you have Hicks in center and Frazier in left. And, Brett Gardner fills in the rest. Like he plays center or left, whatever, against the other set of righties where Stanton's not out there. I think it improves Stanton's hitting if he does it. And defensively, they talk about he's a butcher, whatever. Like, okay, fine. Like, fine. I'll take the butcher if he starts hitting again, because he's easily going to out hit whatever his crap defense might be. And I don't think his defense is really as awful as some of the people that we've seen over the years. I don't think it's that bad.
That's a
In
big.
strat
That's a
terms,
big
he's a fool.
outfield to cover with Stanton and Hicks.
Look,
I mean, that's a little. I don't know, man. I mean, Smith
also
doesn't make you feel awesome.
It also adds
Stanton Frazier is flat out horrifying.
It adds
To a weak
flexibility.
pitching.
It adds flexibility also to your lineup, and those guys don't have to play the entire game out there. You
I
can
don't hate the Stanton to left field move actually. I kind of buy that, especially coming, as he came up through the National League and stuff. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, there's a lot of guys who do not perform as well in the DH role. Yankees probably should have thought of that before they signed him or trade for him to effectively be the DH. But
They didn't. He was
but
still
it is-
playing. He was playing the outfield. I mean, he came
Yeah, but-
from
yeah.
the Marlins. He was playing. He wasn't DHing for the Marlins
I know,
except
but
for
I'm saying
two times a year.
the Yankees is effectively when the Yankees would get him, you were pretty much figuring the guy was going to be the DH for him, right?
Well, I think that's just silly to have done that. Like
Okay.
I think it's a crutch. Like I look, these guys, we got some great guys on Twitter that we follow, Jeff Fry, Shigon Nation, and they talk about, you gotta fix the game, not by putting all these fixes in, but by, getting back to fundamentals, forget about this launch angle stuff, put the bat on the ball, hit the ball the other way, steal a base, bunt, whatever. Well, how about playing in the field? Like, how about it? Like, go out there and play. Do you think that Giancarlo Stanton really doesn't want to go out there and play the field? I find that difficult to believe. I haven't spoken to him and asked him that, but I think if you asked him if you'd like to play more in the outfield, if he said, "Well, you know, I just can't do it at this point, but I can hit," okay, then I'm backing off. I'm
Yep.
backing off. At one point, Dog, a guy who you and I absolutely loved was Edgar Martinez. And people we're old enough to remember Edgar Martinez coming up as a third baseman, and people were like, "Oh my God, he's a butcher at third." You and I are like, "Who cares if he's a butcher at third? Like, play him at friggin' third. I don't care." Have you seen the guy hit? Like, who cares? Like, if he gets 2 out of every 3 at third, like
He's a
that'll be
4.
fine. Like, I'll take 2 out of
It's a
him
4. He
getting.
can be a 4. Be a 4. Stay
You
there.
get 2 out of every 3 balls at third. That's fine. Like, that's great. And at the end, if we're winning and we need to put in the defensive replacement, we'll put somebody in for him. Fine. And then he played first for a little while, and then mostly he was a DH, but he was resigned to that role. He really just he couldn't play the field at one point because of I think it was his back. And we've seen that over the years with some of these guys, like Harold Baines, destroyed his knees. Like Harold Baines was a sick right fielder
Yep.
with a monster arm, a bazooka, and he could really go get it. And he could run when he was a younger man. But he destroyed his knees, and by the time he was in his late 20s, he was hit. The only way he was going to continue his career was as a DH. Big Poppy, a little different story, really didn't give a shit about defense. He was just like, "Hey, I want to go hit." So they're like, "Yeah, okay, just go hit,
Sounds good.
Poppy. Just go hit, Poppy, as long as you do what you're doing." Nelson Cruz, a guy that, he still was playing in the outfield up until his mid 30s. And then he's got into his late 30s and has rarely played the field. I don't think he's been in the outfield since like maybe 2019. So, but again, he excels as a DH. And Stanton he doesn't have to be in that class yet at this point. And they want to automatically reserve him to the DH role. And it just doesn't help the team, and it doesn't help the makeup of the team. He's not going to make such horrible plays in the outfield that you're going to, cringe all the time. If he's hitting the ball, you're going to be like, okay, he's, other guys might have been able to get to that ball fine. That one dropped in. His arm is pretty good. It's always been pretty good, but his bat is the thing. That's why he's there. And it gives you the versatility, Dog, to get another left-handed bat in the lineup, which they need. They
Yep.
need it. There's a lot of reasons why you need it, and it's not just because of platoon stats. You make the other managers think. You make them, like you said before, right? Like tactics and strategy, and having to come in with a little different game plan. They're so easy to game plan against right now.
Yeah.
And you got to change that. And I think these are ways that you could, with between that deal and moving Stanton off the bench from the DH spot and into the outfield half the time, I think it will make a big difference. A big difference. Just my thoughts. I mean, I haven't been wrong about anything except for 3 things since we started doing this show.
Pull the tape.
Pull the tape.
Stan goes out there, also starts hitting 280. We're gonna put that out there.
Am I nuts, Dog?
You're not nuts. I actually I'm totally fine actually with the Stanton move. I still don't think that fixes your center field. I understand you're gonna try and work your way through it. The other thing with the Torres, it's you have too many second basemen on the team, right? I mean, you got Torres, a second baseman. You got LeMay, who's a second baseman. You got Odor, who just came in playing there now. It's like I don't know. Like you just you get too many of these and not enough of that, right? I mean, just bottom line, you don't have a shortstop and a center fielder, and that's the heart, right? Right up the middle is where you got to be strong, and they don't have it. They have absolute monsters who can hit the holy heck out of the ball everywhere else around. But you've got, I said, you don't really have a your shortstop is hurting. Center field is not good, and second base you got like a ton of guys, but like half of them aren't even playing second base. So I don't know. You gotta get this straightened out, especially if you don't have a pitching staff to like blast past it. I mean, it's fine for Cole, but I mean the rest of the staff, they kind of need a little bit of help along the way there. And you're kind of asking a lot of the pen and the hitters to basically be like, all right, well, you've got to generate all these runs because our defense sucks and our starters are okay. They're going to be a little inconsistent. Maybe some high upside, but maybe some low sides, particularly as we kind of go through the season, right? And guys who haven't pitched in a long time also are going out there for their 15th start, 16th start, etc. I don't know. Just the construction is not good, and Boone doesn't know what the hell he's doing as a manager. Frankly, but for a long time it didn't matter, right? The Yankees just hit the heck out of the ball. It didn't matter. It feels like that lineup, the lineup flaws that you're pointing out are just kind of coming home to roost, and they just don't have an answer, and don't look like Boone really particularly knows how to solve it either.
Well, I know we have the president of the Aaron Boone fan club on because it's Mike Serra just posted that he is that in the comments. I have trouble believing that a third generation major leaguer who's now on a bench doesn't know enough about how to manage a team. I'm sorry, I just do. I mean, you have Ray Boone, Bob Boone, and Aaron Boone, and Aaron's brother Brett played in the majors as well. Like, really, he doesn't. I mean, I think Aaron.
I don't know what's he doing.
Well,
what everyone's talking about him because he's doing such a great job. I mean, I don't know what exactly. What does he show? I mean, is the game even the same than his
so he has to
his
do
father
less.
and his grandfather played, right?
Yeah,
so this is what's that?
So he has to do less.
I understand, but is he even doing that? I don't know. What value is he adding?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Okay. All I see is that Boone doesn't know what he's doing. It's what I see from comments and the fans and whatnot. And it's hard to see with all the talent that's on that Yankee team. The lineup and the fielding don't line up right. They don't seem to execute, and they're not playing hard for him. So exactly what is he doing?
Well, I think Mike Serra just posted it. Maybe Boone would be a good manager if he was actually allowed to manage. And I don't disagree with that at all.
Maybe.
I think
that's fair.
Look, in 2021 in baseball, most teams are doing this. They are taking away what was called the field general portion of a manager, and they basically make that person the the person the jury foreman, right? The jury foreman, like it's what are we doing here? This is what the stats say. This is what the numbers say. This is what he says, what he says, what she says, what she says, he says. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. You're gonna pitch 2 innings, and then the next guy's gonna come in, right? That's what happens today, right? There's very few field generals out there. Like the White Sox took a complete U-turn and they hired Tony La Russa. Why? To be that. The Astros hired Dusty Baker. Why? To be that, right? They want a field general. That's the exception now, dog. That's not the norm.
Sure.
Jace Tingler. What's the difference between him and Aaron Boone? You could, or Rojas. I mean, you could place any of those 3 guys in any of these positions. They're not doing much, really, anything different. And does Rojas become a great manager because he left Jacob Degrom in? Dude, as if you have 2 eyes and an asshole, you're not taking Jacob Degrom out of the game against the Nationals, right? That's it.
Like the Rays would.
Oh, he's a field general. He's a field general.
There you
go. So I agree with Mike. Like but you also have a roster that's constructed to completely de-emphasize in-game managerial moves, right?
True.
What when did the Yankees bunt. I mean, anytime they do, then you ought to give Boone credit, right? Like if they, which they have done a few times this year. I think they've had more sacrifices this season than they did last season, and they've played, many less than 60 games at this point. So do you give them credit there? Um, they're still, despite all their struggles, they're still within an earshot of first place, and they're basically, as the A's proved, you're one or two good weeks at this point in the season away from going last to first. In the league, right? Like from the bottom of the league to the top of the league, let alone your division. So yeah, I mean, what is Aaron Boone? What value is he adding, Dog? Is the way you put it, and I like the way you put that because I feel like in a lot of cases of the managers in 2021, it's not how much value the manager's adding, it's how little value the manager is taking away. If you have a manager that's costing you games, that becomes a big deal. And you could definitely argue that Boone cost them the game against the Orioles the previous night to the night we're doing the show, the Monday, the April 26th game, when he botched, what would have been, well, I guess you can't even say it cost him the game. But there was a play where,
Hurt him. Yeah.
Judge was trying to go first and third on a first to third on a 2-out single, got chucked to third. LeMahieu scored the run before the tag happened at third. They disallowed the run, and Judge was called out, rightfully so, which he was. And Boone ended up, keeping the review request in his pocket, where if he had put the review out there, it would have at least gotten them the run. And he tried to explain afterward, to the chagrin of pretty much everybody who heard it except me. I felt like I was the only one who kind of caught his reasoning, but that he cost them a run. They lost 4-2 instead of, they would have lost 4-3. I mean, so you can't even say it wasn't even that it would have given them the lead run. Like they still might have just lost. I mean, they would have had another at bat with, well, they wouldn't have had another at bat because Judge was out.
Judge opened out, yeah.
So, did he really? You can't really say it cost them the game. There's no guaranteeing that they would have scored another run. They didn't score another run. They lost 4-2, I think. So, um, it to me, it has more to do with the construction of the roster and the hamstringing of keeping Stanton as the DH. And Doug, I think I did a great job by getting you Anthony Rizzo and Trevor Story on the Yankees. I mean, not you personally, but like you Yankee fans.
How did you snap your fingers to get Trevor Story, by the way? We kind of sailed right through that one.
Okay, so the Rockies GM either resigns or gets fired or some kind of combination of both.
Okay.
Right?
Because I see Trevor Story like moving.
Because he completely, I got you he completely undersold on the Arenado deal. And Trevor Story has said that, he's either not or, highly unlikely to re-sign with the Rockies. So barring the Rockies somehow being in first place in the division, that includes the world champion Dodgers, the, on their toes Padres, the Diamondbacks who throw a no-hitter or a one-hitter in every game that counts either as a one-hitter or not a no-hitter. And the surprising San Francisco Giants ahead of them, I don't think the Rockies by some miracle are coming up and winning that division and keeping Trevor Story around for a run. And it certainly doesn't look like he's going to re-sign there, in which case that means you have to trade him, and you might be wise to move early in this particular year because you just don't know what the market's going to be. And, pretty much a lot of teams could use them, but there are a lot of teams that are already stacked at shortstop, and you're not you're not talking about you're not talking about 30 teams that need Trevor Story, Dog. You're talking about a handful, because you have a lot of teams that are going to either keep their shortstop or be in the sweepstakes for one of these guys next time that are going to be even less of that handful. And you have to have the combination of a contending team that has the farm system prospects to give up to get a guy like that, who doesn't have a long-term, well, this part's a little iffy, but like you say, doesn't have the long-term solution at short that they want to have Story. Like you figure anybody trading for Story would be interested in re-signing him, right? It's not for sure, but you'd think if you're going to, in this day and age, that's what it seems like a lot of these teams are doing. Like the Mets traded for Lindor completely with the idea of signing him to a long-term deal, which they did. So
Yep.
that kind of leaves the Yankees, right? And, they have the prospect.
I still think you're skating by like 4 or 5 other competitive teams on there, but okay.
Oh, I'm listening. The Brewers?
I don't know. I would need to brush up, to be perfectly honest, on who needs to now and when not so.
They're going to trade him in the division to the Giants.
Probably not trading within the division. I'm trying to think who else.
The Angels going to add another expensive player, right-handed bat when they, probably not.
Philly.
Didi Gregorius is there.
Miami probably wouldn't spend the bucks. Yeah, I mean, is DD a long-term solution there? I could see Philly doing that potentially.
No, but they don't need him for now.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. Yeah.
So
yeah, that would be a more difficult transaction. You need another side of that trade if you're Philadelphia.
The Yankees could just not do my Anthony Rizzo thing, and Gleyber Torres for Trevor Story might even just get it done.
Would you do that
if you're the Yankees?
Yeah, I don't think I'd do that.
Well,
I think you're selling low on Torres, especially if you can put him at second.
But right,
you have him playing opposition. That's the problem, right?
If you can sign
decent players who are just not in the right spots.
You can't put him at second. You have LeMahieu.
I'm saying that he would have that. Wait, intro. He has more value. I don't know. The Yankees are messed up, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's a good second baseman for somebody, and we said that. And then the Yankees went and signed LeMahieu anyway, and we're playing him at second and pushing Torres over. Which again, like we were sort of saying, I don't know. It just didn't make sense. You weakened two positions defensively doing that.
If you trade Gleyber Torres for Trevor Story, you're not weakening your team. I could tell you that. You're strengthening your team because you just got a way better shortstop. He hits better. He fields better. He runs better. He does everything better.
It's going to cost a lot more money.
Okay. Next year.
You are the Yankees. I mean, it's not that it can't. I'm just saying, like, that to me feels like a Steinbrenner move. That's like the old Yankees sort of one. And I think that I kind of think the Yankees had gotten past that and frankly, I had a better system. And like, it just seems like the last year or two, like they've just gotten too infatuated with the 3 outcome hitters and just slamming as many of those together as possible. And it's now come back to bite them. And like I said, I mean, you're just leaving that. I don't know. We're expecting Torres to make another step forward defensively or something, and got surprised by it. But I mean, you came into let me just think about it. You came in with Hicks, Torres as short, and Sanchez as your catcher. What? Like, how is that possible for a team with some resources and the talent of the Yankees? Like, how is that building that as the core of your team out there? You kill Bruno you want, then Cashman's got to go. Like, I don't know what the hell else to say on that. Whoever comes in thinking that's the solution with all the resources the Yankees have, I don't know. I don't know what they're looking at. So it's either Boone's putting the wrong guys out there, not motivating them, or like they don't know what they're doing picking these guys. Because if that's with all the options you had out there, if that was your answer, you're not asking the right question. I don't know. And particularly, and the Yankees kind of went cheap on the pitching rotation, which may work out, right? So maybe you get some diamonds in the rough on that. But like, how many diamonds in the rough you want? I mean, you're just way too many question marks for a successful franchise like this, and it's finally coming home to roost on them. I don't know. That's it. That's the tweet.
Is Jacob Degrom the best hitter on the Mets?
Yeah, it's not even close. Maybe ever.
By the way,
ever.
Dawg is so in his glory just throwing darts at the Yankees right now, all over the.
I mean, I'm wrong.
You're more red than the apple. That's right behind you.
Fair enough. I ain't drinking. This is great. This is just all natural dog. So
look,
we could talk about my team completely underachieving hitting.
your point about the Yankees up the middle is well taken. However, you have to assess those players at moments in time. Where if you go back to the playoffs last year, right, then okay, yeah, we should have done something maybe about the Sanchez thing after that. But Torres from the second half of last season and all through the playoffs looked like, the better version of himself from 2019. And Aaron Hicks is never meant to be the centerpiece of your team. He's a glove first and then offense kind of whatever he gives you guy that, for some reason they just like to bat him at the top of the order, and he should be batting in the bottom of the order. The problem becomes when his defense starts to slip in center field, which you never really know when that is going to happen. And it looks possible through, 20 something games that he might have had a little of that slippage in center field. I still think he's probably fine enough to get you by for another little while. On the 87 Cardinals, his defense is not good enough. Okay. On the 21 Yankees, his defense is. And I even think practically anybody that you put out there, that you have on the roster that, has stood and played a major league center field is probably okay to get you through, not spectacularly, not Gold Glove. But I mean, look, you could even, if you wanted to, you could even experiment with putting Judge there. I think he played center when he was at Fresno State, and he has played it, at very short stints as a Yankee. He's definitely athletic enough to do it. It's just that I know that I know definitely prefers to play right. But look, if he's your best guy and he's the guy that needs to go over there and do it, then you just say, you know what, Judge, you're going to play. Hicks is just falling off a cliff here. We don't have another guy to come in here yet. We need you to go over and play center. And then you could put Stanton at right, and Frazier and you could do whatever you want at that point, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. So,
you could start the all five outfield. That'd be fantastic.
No, Judge is a
outfielder. Center field. I don't know. I mean,
look.
Does he have numbers? Even Boomer wouldn't do that.
The Dodgers. Remember the Dodger outfield, the wheelchair outfield? Remember when they moved Kirk Gibson to center? And they had Cal Daniels, and there was somebody, I used to call it the wheelchair outfield. Yeah. Remember?
Yes, I do. I don't remember who the other one was.
Gibson, Daniels, and Straw, maybe. Was it Straw?
Straw would be like the Rock out there.
No, but Straw, dude, you remember Straw post-Met,
his defense fell off.
His defense fell off like crazy. But, I don't know. I mean, so whatever you could do. If guys hit, it makes up for a lot. And, it's not all about, this. And listen, Dog, what are we talking about, right? This whole show, we're talking about how less balls are put into play than ever before. So has outfield defense ever meant less than it does right now? I mean, between the shifts and everything like that, you have all these metrics to make up for the fact that, guys don't hit the ball. They don't spray the ball. They don't hit the ball in the gap anymore. They don't, they're trying to hit it over a wall or just as hard as they can, wherever they usually hit it. So if there was ever time to just say F the defense, I mean, hey, live in the moment. That's the kind of team that you have. Just do it. See what's the worst thing that could happen. You score 10,
last place.
You win 10-9. Instead of you win 10-9 instead of losing 9-6. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Sarah. Wow, Sarah just called you out. This is coming from the guy who played Hojo at short.
So.
I don't know, Dog. This was an impassioned one tonight.
This was pretty fired up.
Are we going to try to do Die Hard Dads tonight? I think
we should.
I think I did. I
You
think
roll
I did,
yourself. You got to tell that story. That's
I
a
think I
great one.
did Die Hard Dads before the show.
Oh, I got one. I got one with the Die Hard. I'm with the Die Hard Dad, but it's about the Diamond Dog stuff.
Okay. So we break into then our closing segment, Die Hard Dads. By the way, that's me producing the show tonight, not Xavier Rizzo. He did monitor. He had homework, so I had to let him off the hook. But I taught myself how to produce a little bit here with his help. So he got a
He
pre-production.
pretty much taught you.
He got a pre-production credit. Yeah, he taught me how to do this part stuff to get it going on. But I can't botch it and play anything else on the computer right now. But okay, all right. So in our pre-game thing, I had a nice little diatribe to Dog, and basically it kind of went something like this. So sitting here, like I sent my wife and daughter this. I had a funny little tweet. At least I thought, it was a dad joke. It was
It was a goodie.
okay. Wait, I got. You know what? I should get it here so I could read it.
I mean, I didn't like it, but in fairness to myself, I didn't see it. I would have liked it if I saw it.
Okay, well, you could still go. So this was
I will
not.
go and like it though.
I didn't do it on the. I didn't do it on the Diamond Diehards. I did it on at Rear Naked Choke, which is my, general one.
You're funny there too.
And my, like it's more geared toward. I'm just really mostly using that for MMA stuff these days. But then I'm like, it was something about the Devils, my Devils. So they were dressing Nolan Foote tonight. They were putting him back in the lineup. Now he's a rookie that they got in a trade in the offseason. And now that like their season is just winding down and they're not going to make the playoffs, they can't play him more than 9 games. It's kind of like the baseball version of not bringing the guy up for the first few weeks of the season so you don't start his clock. In the NHL, you got to keep them to under 9 games for the first season. Otherwise, their entry-level contract kicks in. So now we're back at the point where they could dress Nolan Foote for the rest of the season. So I said the NJ Devils dressing Foote is a step in the right direction. Maybe he will sock it to the Flyers tonight. It would be nice to get a leg up on someone for once. Okay, so it's dad joke stuff, right? So
you got trifecta in there.
Yeah, I did. Which I've as you know, I do everything in threes. So I usually we sit down, by
Did
the
I say that's what you said, or are we still a family show?
I don't know. There was some salty language tonight.
That's
you could tell I was
about
fired
the dog.
Yeah. So I send it to my wife and my daughter, and that's usually like the 3 of us end up watching the Devil games together most of the time. The boys couldn't give a crap. So I send it like in a text. I send the tweet. I'm like, how hard is it to open it up and just click it and just like it, or just to click it?
Just click it.
Louisa, did you see my tweet? No. I texted it to you and mommy before. No. How about you open your fucking phone and look at the tweet right now while I'm sitting next to you? It's free. It's free. I'm not charging you to do it. Just look at it. Like, just make me happy. Look at it. You don't even have to like it. You should like it.
Who paid for the phone?
Yeah, who paid for everything?
Where did the Wi-Fi come from? Where did all this come from? Where did all the magic happen? Where did the damn electricity come from?
Who paid for the reverse retro Nico Hischier jersey that you're wearing? Oh my God, she just texted me. Are you talking shit about me?
I will come in there with the hockey stick.
Check out the live stream here.
Oh, sorry. Louisa.
There. I sent her the link to the live stream. Let's see if we get another viewer.
See if you can click that one, sister.
Yeah. There you go.
There's one.
I don't think I have to say any more to finish my Die Hard Dads. I think I pretty much just did it.
I think that's it. You know what? I'll be honest. Mine can't come anywhere close to it. We should just end it on that. I think it's too. That's like too good. I'm just going to take it away on mine. Mine was just about the dog being a trash panda. That's all.
She goes, "Let's see if we get another viewer." In quotes, just for you. I won't click on it.
flatulent child.
We'll reply with have fun getting to hockey practice.
Hockey, 1.2 miles that way.
What 1.2? No. How about 50.2?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
You better, Doug. You better do it because I need to
Have to
calm
keep it
down.
going. All right. So the diehard dad for me is the Diamond Dog is going to step up on this one. So fans of the show know we have our German Shepherd Hound Lady, our pandemic dog, but we got her right before the pandemic, so it was probably the only good thing that came out of 2020. So she was kind of hanging around, and she's on a diet, which once again, if you followed it, the whole thing, she put on the COVID-15, which is a lot when you start at 65, right? So she's got a little thick around there. So we got her on the diet. So she's been kind of like jonesing for some chow, right? Just getting a little hungry at 3 in the morning or so. So Healy House, we got a whole bunch of garbage in there. We tell Keegan, take the garbage out to the street, put it in the can, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, none of that happens. Then we ties anything up. So long story short, the hound finally breaks. It's 3 in the morning. She's starving. She goes notched away. I think on coffee grinds. I don't know what the hell she ate. But bottom line is the Diamond Mom comes walking downstairs the next day, and there's trash strewn all over the kitchen. And the dog, she goes and pets the dog before she gets into the kitchen. The dog is like laying on the little like beanbag chair because of course we have 5 of them in the house. So, and 3 of them the dog sits on. So she's just hanging out there sleeping on there, little tail wag, like doesn't get up, doesn't do much. She knows she's guilty as hell on this. She's going down there. She's probably thinking in her little doggy mind, maybe she won't notice. She won't notice this garbage strewn all over the kitchen. So needless to say, the Diamond Mom comes down, starts screaming holy hell at 7 in the morning, and needless to say, the Diamond Dog was in the doghouse for the rest of the day, and we started calling her the Trash Panda. So
The trash panda.
She gets little black eyes too. It kind of works.
A dog of many nicknames.
Exactly.
Which does she like better?
I think she does like the Trash Panda. It's got a little moxie. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah, but the Diamond Dog is so revered.
That is true. We do love her, but she was in trouble. You're fat and you're in trouble.
She's like,
no snacks for you.
She's like, do these coffee grinds make my ass look fat?
I'm not fat. I'm just furry.
That's just fur.
Really, really thick fur.
Does my winter coat make my ass look fat? How does my tail look in this?
In fairness, she has double chin like me now, so.
Well, the dogs do.
It looks better on her, though.
The dogs do tend to look like their owners after a while.
That is true.
More on that later. All right, dog. I think we can wrap it up there.
I think that's that.
After I can put my potty mouth to bed tonight. The potty mouth episode. Even the Yankees won, and I was mad tonight. What was up with that? The Mets lost. Well, because the Mets needed to do the Yankees a solid and beat the Red Sox. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, we're waiting for Degrom tomorrow.
I think, dog, we gotta get on fmsgraphics.com and maybe send out some notes to Degrom. Shutout, otherwise don't bother showing up.
I think we need FMX Graphics to send out some wanted posters for like some key hits from Francisco Lindor this season. That would be nice.
Tell you what, he turned a really nice double play.
He had two really nice plays actually. Yeah. Yeah, the catching one and the ground ball is pretty sweet too. I will give.
Oh yeah, the catch, the line drive double play.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
That was nice, and he's fired up. Like he's
good dude. He's getting there. I'm not worried about him. Gallagher's worried about him. I'm not worried about him.
He's fine. There's a lot of ways that he can help you win. He doesn't have to just hit. And then when he does hit, then you'll be like, okay, this is. You'll be like, okay, he just misplayed 7 balls. Okay. See, that would be even better for you guys, for more reason to put Stanton in the outfield for the Yankees. I mean, you think people complain now? No, but Lindor can make 12. He can make as many errors at
here we
shortstop
go.
as Fernando Tatis.
Aaron Boone and Higashioka. He's just earned more playing time. Really, Aaron? Thanks for the hard-hitting analysis, Aaron. Oh yeah, he's just learned at the lap of legends in baseball to come up with that one. Really, the guy's hitting only guy hitting 300 in the entire thing. Yeah, we should probably play him again tomorrow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's a lot of ways to earn playing time. Play well, and also the person playing in front of you doesn't play well anymore.
Anywho,
Good.
All right.
Any FMS Graphics, family-owned, family-run business for 50 years, dog. They've evolved to cover all of your print and promotional needs. That's fmsgraphics.com, fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. In the meantime, follow at Diamond Diehards everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, LinkedIn, and of course, diamonddiehards.com. All right, that's going to do it for the Tuesday Night Live. Riz and Dog watching the Yankees and the Mets. For the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.